Hi, I'm James Longster, and we're back with another Travers Smith Tech Spotlight. As always, Tech Spotlight will be bringing you short and snappy updates on tech and data issues. In this edition of Tech Spotlight, I'm going to talk about balancing free speech and online safety, which is a topic that's been grabbing headlines over the last few weeks in the context of Elon Musk's proposed acquisition of Twitter. A self-styled free speech absolutist, apparently his chief aim is to preserve free speech on the platform, or as he calls it, a digital town square. His critics fear that his hands-off approach to content moderation will lead to an unchecked proliferation of misinformation and abusive content. And his recent assertion that he would reverse Donald Trump's lifetime ban from Twitter will likely stoke the controversy. But politics aside, if an Elon-esque Twitter means a free-for-all in terms of content, Musk is likely to fall foul of EU and UK legislation that's currently in the pipeline. So first of all, we have the EU's Digital Services Act, which the EU reached political agreement on at the end of April. The Act will be directly applicable across the EU, likely from the 1st of January 2024, although we understand that very large online platforms will have to comply earlier. And secondly, the UK's Online Safety Bill, which could receive royal assent early next year. Now, in very broad terms, both of these pieces of legislation will require platforms, such as Twitter, to protect users from different types of illegal and harmful content. So Musk talks about free speech within the bounds of the law, but he also says, if it's a grey area, I would say let the tweet exist. And therein lies the problem. So tech companies will need to put in place systems so illegal content like hate speech, terrorism, and child sexual abuse can be swiftly removed. But their obligations won't stop there, and they'll also be required to take risk-based action in relation to legal but harmful content. So are Musk and regulators on course for collision? Well, actually, some aspects of Musk's vision for Twitter appear consistent with the aims of the EU's Digital Services Act. For example, his plans to increase algorithmic transparency and to defeat bots posing as real users. And it's not as if there aren't safeguards to protect freedom of speech in the proposed legislation. There are. But the question will be whether those safeguards go far enough and whether the lines are sufficiently clearly drawn to avoid a conservative approach to moderation, where providers take down content for fear of contravening their duties. So if Musk doesn't like what he sees, what will happen if he goes head to head with the regulators? Well, for starters, it's going to be expensive. Violations of the Digital Services Act will incur fines of up to 6% of a company's global annual turnover, and fines to be brought in by the Online Safety Bill are even higher, at up to 10% of global turnover. But are hefty fines a deterrent in Musk's case? Probably not. But the fact that regulators can also impose a block on service for serious repeated infringements may give him pause for thought. That is assuming he wants people in his town square, of course. So there's much for Twitter and other online service providers, as well as the legal community, to grapple with. What it ultimately boils down to is that balancing online safety and free speech is far from straightforward, and there are unfortunately no easy answers. The end result is complicated, and inevitably much of the detail is going to be deferred to secondary legislation, codes of practice, and the like. Now, unfortunately, this means that providers are going to be poorly equipped to start preparing for the new regimes. We're going to be watching the Twitter acquisition with interest, and will of course be keeping abreast of legislative changes in this fast-moving area of the law, so look out for our future updates. That's all from this edition of Tech Spotlight. I hope you can join us again soon.